You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. We watch a thing. We watch a thing. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Watched a Thing with Billy and Dave. How you doing, mate?
I'm alive.
You've had a rough trot. You had COVID only about 6 weeks ago.
I went like 3.5 years or something not getting COVID, thinking I was, one of the Ubermensch that were immune to it and part of the, natural evolution of humankind.
Yeah.
And then got it, and I've now had it twice in the space of 2 months. So whatever higher ranking I held within the human race has been well and truly thrown out the fucking window.
That is so rough.
But I'm looking after myself. I'm because all the kids have got it too.
Yeah.
But you're probably aware. There's other cultures in the world that are obviously a lot older than ours, and thousands of years ago, India and China and the like had thriving, reasonably advanced medical professions.
Yeah.
That had remedies that are still in use today. I don't know if you're aware though, but kind of Western European, younger, but older than Australia and the US culture. A couple of 100 years ago, when doctors were 90% likely to kill you and 10% likely to do, probably do nothing.
Swallow these leeches; it'll fix you right up.
Yes, a sore back. I recommend the rack. Most people avoided them, and we had our own version of those sort of natural remedies, just like those older revered societies did. In the case of Western Europe, it was usually the case of just imbibing as much high-proof alcohol as possible.
Yes.
And that did them very well for anything other than severed limbs. So I'm attempting to hold true to my, ancestral roots with, let me get the number right, 68.3% barrel-proof bourbon. For the Americans, that's 136.6 proof.
Nice.
I'm keeping the viruses at bay.
I'm not drinking it right now, but I do have an 18% stout in the fridge that I've been saving.
That'll be like road tar.
Yeah. It's a carrot cake stout. So it's made with carrots and almonds and all sorts of things. So I'll let you know how it is. But we're not here to talk about alcohol today.
Yeah, booze talks next week.
Let's talk about Final Destination Bloodlines, which is a 2025 American supernatural horror film directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein, written by Guy Busick and Laurie Evans-Taylor. It is, of course, the 6th installment in the Final Destination film series, following Final Destination 5, which came out in 2011. So,
that long ago. Holy crap.
14 years ago for the last one. It stars Caitlin Santajuana, Tio Briones, Richard Harmon, Owen Patrick Joyner, Anna Law, and Tony Todd. And what is it about, Dave?
Rather originally, we see a horrible disaster, which turns out to be a vision, and then all the people who survived the disaster in the vision are then killed off systematically. We do have a little bit of extra kind of background that beefs up the lore of the franchise, I guess, which we'll get to. But essentially, it's the same blueprint as all the previous ones, with a little bit of extra kind of cannon fodder thrown in. See what I did there? Cannon fodder, CANON fodder.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, like this franchise hit its kind of formula on the head in the first film, and it hasn't deviated, and there's no need to. So speaking of the franchise, you were telling me last week that you had only seen the first 2, I think it was?
Yeah. When 3 came out, it was widely reported to be horrendous crap. And so I kind of bowed out of the franchise. I thought, it's jumped the shark. First 2 are really good. I'm not going to sully them by, Friday, Elm Streeting.
Yeah.
The franchise into progressively worse and worse. Then many years later, friends like Paul Brazulla, who love the franchise, said, "Oh no, it picks up." Number 5 in particular is very, very strong. So before seeing Bloodlines, Leah and I did a binge of 3, 4, 5, and then saw the new one. So it's all fresh.
I mean, honestly, I like all of these films. 3 and 4 are weak. But
they're bad films, but there's fun to be had.
Yeah, they do what they say. They follow the formula exactly. You still have some really fun deaths in there. You know, like the tanning bed death is a lot of fun. You know, you still have a lot of that stuff going on.
You're in it, your button to pull through the filter. That's kind of special.
Yeah, there's still heaps of fun to be had. For me, and like I said, I like all of these films. Bloodlines is the most fun I've had in a cinema so far this year. I've seen it twice at the cinema because I had so much fun. I even convinced Noosk to go see it, who does not like horror movies, and I said it's not a horror, it's a thriller.
There's nothing scary about it.
There's nothing scary about it at all. And she also really had a really fun time. So I'm a huge fan of this film. I loved it. Where are you on it?
It's certainly better than 3 and 4. Which are, I mean, if you look at all these films, the 6 of them, 3 and 4 are so significantly under par compared to the others. Even though there is, as you say, there's fun to be had with some of the deaths and stuff, but they are objectively pretty bad films. The acting's bad, the writing's not good. They've just got fun over the top deaths in them. 1 and 2, I think, are good films. 5, I was really impressed by the way it tied back into the franchise. I thought that was really clever and was a really nice surprise at the end.
Yeah.
That you sort of loop back to the start of the first film. And that was one of the things I liked most about this was, I mean, there's Easter eggs galore and sort of for the audience references back to films, but the plot itself obviously references, and a beautiful send-off to Tony Todd, who we've spent the whole franchise thinking is death and he's kind of the bad guy. Turns out, no, he's a good guy who's just been sort of tracking this stuff and keeping an eye. That was a really lovely send-off for him, I thought.
Yeah, agreed. I
do have some negatives.
How can you?
I think that, whatever her name is, our main actress is not a good actress.
Get F. She's great in this film.
She's not great. She is significantly worse at acting than everyone else in this film.
So I've never seen her in anything else. She's got a really short filmography of 4 films. The Friendship Game, never heard of. He's Not Worth Dying For. We Need a Little Christmas. None of which have Wikipedia entries. 2 of them are television films. She was in 2 episodes of The Flash. And it seems that she is perhaps predominantly a stage actress. She was one of the lead understudies in Dear Evan Hansen.
Stage actors who aren't familiar with acting on screen.
I was a fan. I thought she was good. I don't think any of the acting in this film is bad. I think part of the problem is that I think you have a really great opening sequence. I think she is
she looks familiar, but God, I can't even see who the actress was, but she looked familiar. I don't know if I'm just getting her mixed up with what's her name from The Boys, because she did Erin Moriarty. She did look a bit like her.
Yeah, she does look a little bit like her.
She did look familiar.
Breck Basinger is her name.
That doesn't sound familiar at all.
No relation, from what I can see, to any other Basingers.
Because Kim's
okay. She was the lead in 47 Meters Down.
What's that?
Shark movie. Good shark movie.
Oh, she's Stargirl. So, see, I wasn't too far off. She's not Starlight. She's Stargirl, the DC series. That's why she's familiar. There you go.
Yeah. See, that's part of the problem, is that she is so fantastic in that opening scene that I do think that, a lot of the acting kind of does fall flat after that. Well, that being said, I don't think any of it's bad. No, she's fine.
Everyone else is fine.
They're all fine. But that opening sequence is one of the best, I think, in Final Destination franchise history. I mean,
how are you with heights in real life? Are you okay with heights?
I don't have a problem with heights, which is why I think that sequence really works. Because
I was sitting next to Leah going, fuck no. Oh, fuck no. Fuck no.
But that's what's great about that sequence, is that I've been on buildings like that with a glass floor, and I'm not scared of heights, but I am scared of glass floors.
Because it's stupid.
Yeah. So I love that sequence.
If that glass floor is going to crack from a piece of a chandelier falling on it, I don't care how perfectly the piece of chandelier lands.
Yeah.
The contractors need to be fucking fired and sued.
And also just nobody dancing on that floor notices that it just has this massive spreading crack right under their feet. Like, okay, a lot of the sequence is silly, but I think it's great. In terms of, you know, an opening disaster to a Final Destination film, I think this is up there with... I mean, look, the logs are iconic because they're the logs, but I actually think this is a better sequence. I think there's more fun
it's
to
more
be
believable that you can save a large number of people in a scenario like this.
Yes.
Where you stop, you know, one or two small things that would have escalated.
That's right.
Rather than, you know, a whole bunch of people being killed in a massive...
Well, and that's what I think is most interesting about this film is the scope of it as well. So all the other Final Destination films, they don't actually stop the disaster. You know, like the first one, the plane still crashes. He only gets
they avoid
5 or 6 people off the plane. So, you know, the roller coaster in 3 is the same. They get like 5 or 6 people off and then you follow their deaths. What's interesting about this one is that she saves everybody on that tower. Not a single person dies, and there's hundreds of them.
It becomes drawing another kind of allusion to the Elm Street films, where they, as they get further in, they justify the fact that Freddy has not yet killed, you know, the 5 or 6 families that killed him by saying, "Oh no, it's the kids of the kids, it's the extended family,"
and because death is working in order of the way that they were meant to die. And then by the time he gets to them, they've had kids, so then he has to kill their bloodlines. And so now we're at kind of the final family, apart from Tony Todd. I think it's a really good concept for a Final Destination film. And this is the first time that we've taken it to this family level, which I think actually works really, really well. Like in a lot of the other, you know, the first one, they all go to high school together. They don't all like each other, and that's good. There's fun dynamics there.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the second one, they're all just completely, you know, distinct individual people. Most of them you don't even get to know until they start dying because, you know, they're not related to the main character in any way. I really liked the structure of this film. I liked, you know, I mean, the barbecue sequence, fantastic. That is such a great sequence with all of the little things happening, and you're like, what is actually going to be the thing that kills them?
That's one of the things that the first one had it a little bit, particularly like the bathroom death, for example, where there's 5 minutes of it's probably not, it's probably more like 30 seconds, but it feels like 5 minutes of lead up of what's going to happen.
Build-up.
Drip, and then this and that.
It's the same with
laying out the whole Rube Goldberg. You know. But the thing with that, and with most of the previous films, is it's laying out the dominoes, but it's laying them out in a line. You know pretty much what's going to happen. Yeah. In general terms, you know that.
Yes.
And what I thought was clever, and the last Final Destination 5, I think it was 5, did it as well a little bit. There was or maybe it was 4. There was an incredible death of this girl who's a gymnast.
Yeah.
Where you get a screw falling out that lands point side up on the balance beam thing, and then you've got a couple of minutes of watching these feet go up and down. And Leah and I both have things about feet and eyes are the things that and so we're both sitting there going, ooh, waiting for and it ends up, it's not the person you think of that steps on it.
Yes.
She dismounts. Someone else steps on it that then sets off this incredible chain. And it's stuff that you couldn't have predicted. And I really liked that. This film, pretty much all the deaths are stuff that you couldn't predict. It's teased you with things, and they were not red herrings. They did come into play, but they came into play in a way that you weren't expecting, like the shard of glass and like all of these things.
Like the piece of the vending machine that comes out, you know.
You think, oh, it's a red herring when it springs and it doesn't get him. But no, it comes back in later.
Yeah. I think the deaths in this film are some of the best deaths that we've had. One character in this has 2 of the best death sequences, not just in this movie, but in any of the Final Destination films. And I'm sure you know who I'm talking about because there's only one character who has 2 death sequences in this film.
Oh, yeah, it's Oh God, what's his name? Richard Harmon, who I know from The 100 and other things. He's the only face I knew apart from Tony Todd in this. So yeah, Eric.
We get the wonderful, the tattoo parlor scene.
I mean, this is such a message to young kids about don't get piercings. Like in case you don't get the message the first time, we'll really bring it home.
Yeah, because the MRI death is my favorite death in any Final Destination film. It's so. I want to say it's unexpected, but it's not. Like you say, there's so much.
You know, something's going to happen with magnets.
Yeah, but when that wheelchair pulls through his stomach as he's kind of sandwiching into the machine.
I said when the nipples went, I said to Leo, geez, he better hope he doesn't have like any piercings anywhere else. And then you get the tunnel shot through the MRI with just his crotch slowly being pulled in.
Drawn, yeah. Just fantastic. This movie adds such fun deaths in it. There's not a weak death sequence in this film. And I think what's really fun is, like you say, it builds the dominoes. Each death takes a really long time, and sometimes it's things that you don't expect that actually happen, but everything kind of comes back. It's not like, I think it was either the second or the third film where the kid is in the dentist chair and there is so much going on. Like there's a leaking fish tank next to an electrical socket.
It's definitely not in the ones I watched in the last couple of days. So I think
there's a leaking fish tank next to an electrical socket, and then the doctor accidentally knocks the gas, and he's just getting nitrous with no oxygen, and then a thing falls in his mouth, and you think he's going to choke. And after all of that, he walks out of the dentist's office completely fine, chases some pigeons, and a pane of glass falls on him. And it's like, yeah, that's fun. It's having fun with the audience. But this, I think, does it in a much smarter way.
And there's a kind of a subtle difference in the writing. That's kind of almost not lazy writing, but it's kind of missing the point.
Yeah.
If you lay all these things out, you don't have to follow that route, but they all need to mean something. They can't all be red herrings and then he just gets shot by a passing car or something.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to have led to something, because the assumption is that death is laying all doing all of these things in order to take them out.
Yeah.
So for them to, why did they all happen?
Yes.
If that doesn't lead to something.
Yes. And that's what's fun about this film, is that our main character, because she's been reading all of these, texts from, crazy Iris who spent her whole life looking for death, she sees all of these things much more clearly.
Hypersensitive to risks and
so that means that the film is able to have fun with the audience in a whole new different way, because instead of having a death like that that's just completely silly, he chases pigeons, pane of glass falls on him, you have a silly death here which feels much more grounded and much more real and much more scary, when in the background of the shot the cousin starts running off on her morning jog. The leaf blower falls, the soccer ball gets kicked in her face, she falls in the garbage bin.
I'd actually missed it. Leah had to go,
no, out loud in the cinema. That was so funny.
It was great. But because I was paying attention to Eric and the rest of them in the foreground when she runs off, I just thought she just quickly got... I missed the fact that it was everything that she'd predicted, but she predicted them for Eric because they thought he was the older kid, and then it turns
which was
out...
also one of the funniest lines in the whole film, when his mum is telling him that, who his dad and is that why he always wanted to play catch. That got a massive reaction in both of my screenings. Yeah, I loved this film. I have no negatives, so why don't you jump in with some negatives then?
Oh, and the main one is I do think that she is not a very good actress, and I kind of... numerous times through the thing, there were she was delivering lines. I was just like, oh God, it's such a shame, because everyone else is fine. I mean, no one's setting the world on fire, but everyone else is perfectly fine. Didn't have she stuck out to me. Maybe I just didn't kind of, I don't know, like her performance if you didn't feel that. But I didn't like her as our kind of main character much at all. That's really the only negative. I think it's structured rather nicely. I think the way it kind of attempts to tie and does it with the opening and closing credit animations and things as well. It tries to sort of tie the whole franchise into this bigger thing. Which I mean, if you pick at it, when you probably shouldn't with this sort of film, but obviously the people who die in the previous films are not being killed because they're the descendants of the people.
They're just other people who also had premonitions.
Really tie all the films together, and
I mean, only through Tony Todd, I guess.
Iris and JB have been, tracking down similar scenarios, trying to find. I drew a lot of similarities between this and the Smile franchise. Where the only way to break the curse is to either die or kill someone. All the rules are basically the same, whether you're being tracked by death or by the Smile Demon.
True. Yeah. This is a much better film than either of the Smiles, though.
Oh, that's not true. Both of those films are better than all of the films in this franchise.
Oh, that's absolutely not true. And this movie is doing insanely well. $50 million budget. It literally opened this week and it's already done 110. So this movie
50 million's more than I would have expected.
For the budget?
I mean, the effects are all cool, but they're not like...
I would imagine a lot of the budget would have gone into the Skyview Tower sequence.
Yeah, actually, good point.
I mean, it's a pretty lengthy sequence. It's also, period piece, which just adds to the budget.
True. I thought about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm not surprised. It's a fun movie. No one's going to walk out of the cinema going, that was boring.
And I'm really glad that it's revived this franchise because, when Noosk said, "Oh, are they bringing it back?" I actually said to her, "Oh, I mean, this is the 6th movie. I wouldn't say bringing it back. Like it's always." But I didn't realize in my head that the gap was 6 or 7 years. I didn't realize it had been 14. 15. So yeah, I'll watch fucking 10 more movies in this franchise. How are you scoring it out of 10?
Ooh. Got to kind of mentally go through all the previous ones now. See, I think 5 is slightly better than this one.
Yeah.
I think this one tries to cram a little bit too much in. There was a lot of scenes of the family sitting around talking. And some of those scenes I did, if I'm picking negatives, they were where the crazy deaths. I mean, I'll buy all of that. Some of the family dialogue, I was just like, really? Especially the dad. God, he annoyed me. It was so... my biggest annoyance with this film is that he wasn't part of the bloodline, and so he was never going to die because he was so fucking annoying. Her dad...
I was fine with that.
He was.
Actually, just, spoilery question for you. Were you expecting anyone to live at the end? Because the Final Destinations are a bit of a mixed bag, where sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And I have seen a lot of people say that what they didn't like most about this film is the ending, whereas I loved the ending.
And it was fine.
When you got that turn, and then you get, of course, the big homage as the logs just come over and crush them. Because
the only way, I mean, as they point out, the only one where anyone's lived is 2, because her heart stopped and she was revived.
And 1.
And that broke the chain. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Ali Lada survives the first one and comes back in the second one.
Oh, right. Yep. Okay. True.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they knew they were going to get a sequel at that point. So the first one's kind of its own beast in terms of the story writing. But... no, I totally expected them all to die, and I love the fact that they went, "Oh no, technically you didn't die."
I loved that moment. That was so much fun because then you already knew what was happening. The old lady had dropped the penny. You'd seen it go into the train tracks.
Did you think the old lady was death for a while? She was weirdly creepy when she picked that penny up and put it into her purse full of pennies. I was like, "Ooh,
she was."
I thought she was going to then crop up but then Yeah, she was just a crazy old lady who collected pennies.
I did actually derail you. We got onto this because you were talking about the father and stuff, but the original question was, how are you scoring this?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. All right, so if number 1 and number 5 are both 8s, which they are, I think number 2 and number 6 are both 7s.
Okay.
And 3 and 4 are probably 5s or something. They're not good at all.
Interesting. I didn't think I was going to have to pull this out, but...
You're pulling it out every episode now.
This movie's a 9. This is absolutely a 9 out of 10.
So on par with Fast 10 in your...
So far, this is the most fun I've had in a cinema, hands down, this year. It's it's kind of on par, close to like The Monkey, which was also a lot of fun.
This is a better film than The Monkey?
This is more fun than The Monkey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, The Monkeys are 8.5, maybe even a 9. Whereas, I think I had a lot of fun with this, but I don't think it's as good. Certainly.
Fair.
Still a recommend. I mean, you're not going to have a bad time going to see this unless you hate gore. And if you hate gore, why would you go and see it? So, if you remotely like this sort of film, you will not regret spending the money. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, true. All right, next week we'll be going on an impossible mission, checking out, what do they call this one now? Dead Reckoning?
Yeah, because,
so they've gone back and retroactively renamed the last one then?
No, it's still what it is, but rather than going part 2, because it didn't do well.
Because that was Dead Reckoning Part 1. I think
this is the final Reckoning.
Yeah, they've taken away the Part 1 from the old one. I think they did retroactively rename it, yeah.
That would make sense, but I didn't know that they had. Because it underperformed. They didn't want to be seen as Part 2 of a thing that a lot of people, coming off the heels of Fallout was always
which
is
also a mediocre film. I have
Seriously.
very little interest. I'm going to see, Final Reckoning. I have very little expectations for it. The only good film in this entire franchise is the first one, and even that's a 7 out of 10 at absolute best.
I know we don't have 500,000 listeners, but you don't need to alienate the few that we do have. Jesus Christ.
Look, I'm going to see it, but I'm much more excited in The Surfer, which hopefully we can maybe get to and do a review of that as well.
Yeah. That's a coin flip. Every time Nicolas Cage is in a film, it's either really entertaining or utter dog shit. And then he doesn't even give you the good grace of alternating back and forth. Sometimes he'll have 2 good ones in a row and then 3 bad ones. You've got no idea.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you never know what to expect.
What's the last one of his that you think was genuinely really good?
I really, really, really liked Pig. I can't remember if I've seen anything in between that. I don't remember when Colour of Space was.
Colour Out of Space was before Pig, which I loved.
Yep.
I thought, what's the one where he's
playing himself
and Pedro Pascal.
Extraordinary Weight of Massive Talent or something.
Yeah,
I was disappointed in that. I had
that was mediocre.
Same. I had really high hopes, and it was fine.
It was well under what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And then you've got things like Prisoners of the Ghostland, which is one of the worst films ever made by humankind. So, we know he doesn't have a filter. He accepts everything that comes.
I'm excited.
If we ever make a movie, we can get him in it.
We should try that.
He'll say yes. We know that based on his filmography.
All right, well, that's next week. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at pottymouthradio.com or pottymouthradio@gmail.com. Go join the Facebook listener community, and we'll catch you next week.
Just quickly, actually, for patrons, I did mean to say this last week. One thing I've discovered is that if you sign up to, not just us, anyone on Patreon using the iPhone or iPad or whatever app, you're paying 30% more than everyone else on the planet because Apple takes money. It doesn't come to us, doesn't go to Patreon. Apple just tack 30% on top. Yeah. So if you are a patron through the iOS app, stop that shit and go and do it. Just go through the Patreon website because we'll get the same amount of money. You'll get the same stuff from us, all the bonus stuff that you get, but you'll save 30%, which is nothing to be sneezed at. So, fuck Apple. Don't give them your money.
Nice. We'll catch you next week.
Cheerio.